Woohoo! Welcome to the Mobile Makers Podcast again. This is not Mickey Mouse, because that is a copyrighted issue. My name is Dr. Falofanos, and welcome, and here's Brennan.
Welcome to the Mobile Makers Podcast.
Mobile Makers Podcast.
That's
right.
We've got a couple of guests today.
Yeah.
It's just me and Ben.
Yeah, just me and you.
Just
no
me,
one else.
Just Brennan and Ben.
Just Brennan and Ben.
Ben and Brennan.
Ben and Bren.
Brennan and Ben.
The old B&B.
The old B&B.
The old B&B.
B&B.
The B with the D's.
No?
I've got two.
B&B.
I've got two.
Ben and Bren.
Delta.
Who do we have here with us?
We've got Jacob Goodale and Caleb Stephen Zopp.
Zopp. That's Z-O-P-P.
In case you were wondering.
He has two PPs.
Two PPs.
Yeah, it's true. So, you know what? Let's start. Let's have a little
Yeah, sure.
little quick how you do to old Jacob Buckaroo, who we had on a few podcasts ago. How you doing, Jacob?
Well.
You doing well?
You got to talk into the mic there, sir.
Well.
You speak up a little.
Well.
There you go. We're good.
Yeah, sure.
Caleb, how are you, bud?
Yeah.
Well.
Guys, we're not some mid-16th century source of getting water.
Where's the well? Yeah, no, I'm pretty great. I just
You just had your second kid.
Just had my second kid. It's pretty awesome, and she sleeps all the time, eats a little bit
For now.
until she goes insane and turns into a demon. But who knows?
Little Jack.
Yeah, Jack. Yeah, that's a good movie. But I do have to say, speaking of Disney, I was terribly offended by your Mickey Mouse impression.
It wasn't really. I told
it wasn't
you,
Mickey
was
Mouse.
not a Mickey Mouse impression.
Well, yeah, but you just kind of were talking and were like, oh, if it was, and then it was like,
It was just high and squeaky.
That's true.
You know what?
Which is
And
how he likes it.
Yeah, I like to be high and squeaky.
Squeaky clean or squeaky in other ways?
We're off to a great start.
Yeah, this is great.
I love
Okay,
this.
so yeah, let's talk.
I'm in a little bit of a mood.
Are you?
honestly.
You're in a character kind of
I'm in a
of
character
mood?
kind of mood. Last night
Yeah.
I was doing a bunch of different characters. Like they were giving me accents to try and do. Like I did.
I liked the
Alabama.
one you did earlier, talking about the
Mr. Well, he's from Georgia.
reminds me of like Mr. Beauregard or something. Yeah.
Beauregard,
Yeah.
perhaps. I mean, we head down on south to the old, the old tobacco plants. We got down there. I got my cigarette business. Nicotine is good for the soul, good for the heart, and tobacco is good for the mind. You know what I mean? We just like to be real subtle. That's how you get that.
It's like the
good.
villain that you don't want but you need.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't call
I
myself.
don't want to
a
meet
villain.
this particular villain, but I want to hear him. Just not meet him personally.
My name is David Shabakalos.
That's a terrible last name.
You're gonna forget that name next time you do the character too.
I'll remember it
Shabakalos.
because it's a terrible name.
I will never forget the name Shabakalos as long as I exist.
Podcast.
All right, you are in a mood. You're in a character kind of mood.
Every once in a while.
Oof.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk.
Well, last time we had Jacob on, we talked about like consciousness and some real like thought provoking stuff, and we want to do none of that this time.
Just talk about nonsense.
We'll just bullshit the whole time.
Yeah.
No, Ben, you said that you wanted to talk about some aliens.
I wanted to talk about the recent new bits and
Ooh,
pieces of
yeah.
aliens.
God.
Yeah.
It seems like they're like preparing us for something.
Yeah, I mean,
because they're.
I didn't read that whole article, by the way. I should have read it all.
I'll read through some of it. I sent an article to our band group chat, like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Well,
something like
about
that.
a week ago. Yeah.
And it was talking about the Galactic Federation and how like this is not like some Rick and Morty bullshit. Like legitimately, I'll go through the article.
It's like Star
here in a
Trek
second.
shit.
But
It's like Star Trek.
well, I mean, but Rick and Morty talk about the Galactic Federation.
Yeah, but
quite a bit.
Star Trek is the
maybe they've known the entire time.
Well, and that's part of the like conspiracy.
well, the
theory is
Simpsons
that-
know.
Well,
Wait,
all that to
The
say.
Sims,
The Simpsons.
like the little computer
No,
generated
the Simpsons, the yellow
No, that's-
doll.
Game? Oh, the television
Simpson?
show
Yeah.
from Fox Network.
Oh, you mean Family Guy?
Wait, no, isn't that the
Like the
creators
like
of
Continue,
the,
Brennan.
the Family Guy where they're yellow.
Whew, you guys are all in some kind of mood.
I don't know what's going on. I just came here to talk, and now I'm like,
Well, all of that to come back to real world, the galactic.
the real world.
No,
we're talking about
it
Galactic
seems like every day that they're giving us bits and pieces more of like extraterrestrials or interstellar type stuff that is all potentially coming to a point of like disclosure, like full disclosure, because we've gotten off-world vehicles not made on Earth. That is a legitimate thing that came from the Pentagon. UFOs exist. That is something that the Pentagon has came out and said this year. And then this article, and I'll read the headline: former head of Israeli Space Division, aliens are real. Trump was on the verge of confirming. And it goes in to say how this guy is a retired general from the Israeli
basically the Israeli NASA.
space. Yeah, basically. And how he said Israeli governments have been working with them, and President Trump was recently on the verge of confirming their existence.
Which makes sense because, I mean, you'd feel like the president would know these things, and Trump would be just that person, be like, you know what, they've been keeping this hiding for...
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I mean, he came out with Space Force, and that's another
Yeah.
thing I want to
Yeah.
talk about,
Yeah.
too. Let's talk about the name that they gave to those, the enlisted in the Space Force. You know what their official name
What?
is? Guardians.
Guardians?
Guardians
Well,
of the
it's-
fucking
okay.
galaxy,
Well, wait,
buddy.
Well, have you seen the logo? It's exactly a ripoff of Starfleet from Star Trek. It's the exact thing. It's just,
Really?
I'm not kidding. If you look it
I
up right
believe
now,
you. I believe
it's
you.
it's so strange.
I don't
And so
know. I do have my...
Well, it's interesting that it's a branch of the military and that it's not just another
Like
NASA.
NASA. Yeah, it
space
should be NASA.
exploration. It's
Like, this
Space
is
Force.
America's military
Yeah, in
in
space.
space.
It's like, yeah, it's like Power Rangers.
Shoot them
Space
asteroids
Edition.
down!
Yeah.
yeah, it's like
So, but they're officially the guardians of the galaxy. That I mean, not they're
Well,
not the guardians of the galaxy.
there's-
But
well,
they're
our-
named-
our
ones
solar
out there,
system-
let's be honest.
well,
yeah, our solar system, because we are tiny in our galaxy. Like
yeah.
So they can't defend our galaxy.
But the article went on to say UFOs have asked not to publish that they are here. Humanity is not yet ready. Trump was on the verge of revealing, but the aliens in the Galactic Federation are saying, wait, let people calm down first. They don't want to start mass hysteria. They want to first make us sane and understanding. They've been waiting for humanity to evolve and reach a stage where we will generally understand what space and spaceships are. There's an agreement between the U.S. government and the aliens. They signed a contract with us to do experiments here. They, too, are researching and trying to understand the whole fabric of the universe, and they want us as helpers. There's an underground base in the depths of Mars where their representatives are, and also our American astronauts. If I had come up with what I'm saying today 5 years ago, I would have been hospitalized. Whatever I've gone this in academia, they've said the man has lost his mind. Today they're already talking differently. I have nothing to lose. I receive my degrees and awards. I'm respected in universities abroad where the trend is also changing. So he's basically came out and said that all of this shit is real. Basically everything we've seen in movies and TV shows is a legitimate thing.
Yeah.
That there's American astronauts on Mars in the bases in the depths of Mars, and that he feels comfortable saying all this stuff because he's already done what he needs to do to keep his title or whatever.
Yeah, because I mean he's retired now. What
What does he have to
happen?
lose?
Yeah, he's
to,
not going to lose
to
his
spill
job.
these secrets.
You know, and there's definitely less stigma behind. Like before, it may have been more so
Like,
you can't tell anyone versus now, like
Well,
we're-
it's also the
Yeah,
fact that like
but
he's at the end of
people
his
are more
career.
accepting.
He's telling people he could have lost all of his
credibility
assets,
and everything
credibility,
like that.
job, whatever. He's done with all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, "Screw it. I'm gonna tell everybody because I'm already done."
Yeah.
Like I guess he was like an 87-year-old guy now,
Mhm.
or he is. So he literally has nothing to lose. I
Right,
mean,
but-
he's at
but-
the end of his life.
yeah, true. And I mean, it could be all hearsay because it's just some man's
I
word.
mean, there's
against-
always a slight possibility of
Well,
that
yeah.
with anything.
But
well, of course, but I do want to say, like, and you're right with him coming out, and I mean, yeah, he has nothing to lose. So, like, I think that potentially, I mean, obviously, there's something greater out there
Well, I mean,
that nobody's telling us. So
just taking it from as a sheer analytical point of view, you take the amount of information that they've disclosed this year alone on UFOs, on extraterrestrials, on all of it, and then you have that bomb that drops, and how none of it's big news, how it's never blown up in the media.
Well, it was on
It was on
NBC.
NBC News
Okay.
is
I
where
didn't
I
see
saw
that.
it.
Yeah.
The article
Huh.
was, so it reached one
Okay.
mainstream outlet.
that's interesting. I didn't know
The
that.
Pentagon has refused to comment on it, which is pretty telling. NASA says that they denied it. They've said we haven't seen any aliens, but
Wow.
the Pentagon is not giving a clear answer. So that's
Yeah.
a different story.
Oh, and Roswell, like Trump was asked about Roswell years ago,
Yeah.
and he kind of like tiptoed around the question. He didn't come out and say, "Oh no," but like there's more that we'll talk about in the future.
Yeah, there was one
Yeah.
time they were talking to him about like aliens and UFOs and things like that. He's like, that is an interesting question. That's something we're wanting to look into. That I need to look into, and we'll be getting to that very soon.
And it's great.
Like he said,
And it's great.
not word for word, but that's
Yeah.
the gist of what he said.
We're
It's
going to
huge.
build a
It's
wall
huge.
around the Earth.
Yeah, he built a wall around the White House,
Yeah.
which before you could see the White House. Now you can't see the White House.
Oh,
from
yeah.
anything. Like
I mean, look at
don't
the
know.
world.
Yeah, what's going on right now? So
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just- he built a wall. He did.
Oh.
Just not where you
Yeah.
wanted it.
well, I think that there are aliens.
Oh,
I mean, there has to be. I mean, throughout the years, I've seen like all kinds of videos of like supernatural stuff, and just footage that you can't really, especially for its time, you can't like Photoshop that or whatever. I mean, you can't edit things out and say, oh look, it's something it's not. I mean,
Yeah.
freaking Israel itself, I think, or no, it was in Jerusalem. There was a really interesting video of that ball of light that like dropped and stayed above the one temple where apparently Jesus Christ himself has had some connection with it, and then it just shoots up and it was like three other like little things and it came down. And it's like, oh, it's a Trinity. People are like freaking out.
Well,
stuff.
there's a lot of just weird shit like that.
Oh
that
yeah,
happens.
I mean there's so many videos.
So
that-
here's one that I've researched recently in the past. It's the Battle of Los Angeles. It's also known as the Great Los Angeles Air Raid, and basically what it was. That's the name that's given to it. It's rumored. It was a rumored attack on the mainland of the United States by Japan in the 1940s. It took place in late February in 1942 over LA, California. It occurred less than 3 months after the United States entered World War II. So that's why it was kind of perceived to be an attack from another country.
Oh, really?
But what it was basically just a like craft in the sky that I'm reading through here. Sorry. Basically it was an attack that, like, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, we shot at the aircraft and it did nothing. Like it didn't do anything. It didn't go anywhere. It didn't destroy from the air. It was still there.
There was another account, a dude who was on Joe Rogan talked about this, but he was this like highly awarded. I don't know if he was a military general, but he was part of military
Like
personnel.
a pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they saw this
Over Alaska?
UFO. Well, no, it was like
Antarctica. Sorry.
no, I think
Okay.
it was. I want to say it was like on the coast of California. I forget.
Okay.
Not Fiji.
Maybe we're thinking of two different things.
Malibu. It was near Malibu, I think it was, and they saw like this huge sort of ship thing, but in the shape of a Tic Tac that was just in the air.
Yeah.
And then it submerged into the water. Well, I think it was already in the water, and it came out of
Like,
the water,
shot up
and
out
it
of the
saw
water.
them, and then it just vanished in thin air, essentially.
Well, there's
That's
a bunch
cool.
of things that I've seen too where like there's that no-fly zone in Antarctica where like we all agreed for whatever reason just to not go there.
Well, and
where the Nazis are hiding, where the entrance of the Hollow Earth is.
Exactly.
You heard
Yeah.
that stuff?
Yeah,
also,
you know about that.
Yeah. I've yeah.
also an interesting.
And it feels crazy talking about it, but it feels less crazy in America 2020 than anything
That's
ever has
true.
felt.
I
But
feel.
that's where we gotta be careful. Oh no, go
I'll-
ahead. Sorry.
I feel like it's less of a Nazi base or anything like that. But
Yeah,
there
I'm-
is this one thing I don't know if everybody knows. There's this certain. I'm not sure the actual technical term, but basically you can think of it as this radiation ring around the equator of the world. But it is not at the North or South poles. So basically, if you go out spaceship-wise or in, you've got to go through this radiation ring, which makes it harder to go out and harder to come in because you've got to think about radiation poisoning and get proper shielding from it for everything like that. But if you go from the North Pole or the South Pole, there is no radiation ring.
Right.
And so they're essentially the perfect entrance and exit for any incoming or outgoing ships or anything like
Yeah.
that. So that
And
could
no one
possibly-
goes there, so that's
Yeah.
also convenient.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
and the treaties that we have to never just explore those areas.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
it's,
really? I didn't know about that. We have
Yeah.
treaties not to explore
Yeah.
the North and South
Yeah.
Pole.
Mhm.
like we
Yeah,
as humans,
no, it was
it's
a
some
certain
kind
year,
of
though.
land treaty
Yeah.
that all countries signed to just never go there.
Yeah, but that was after a certain time period. I'm pretty sure we did.
I mean,
Yeah,
there have been
it was-
people who've went up there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
but actually documented it and stuff. And
But even if you-
the
even if you
explorers,
pull
Has
up-
anyone been to the the direct pole? You know, like I know people
I
have
don't
been to
know.
Antarctica, and there's some research teams down there. But
But
there's-
I'm pretty sure people have tried to, but they've never been able to.
Well, I know why, because fucking Santa Claus is up there. So we don't want to
Well.
spoil the real secret up there. You know, it's like, oh, he is real. What? And then everybody's gonna freak out. He is the alien.
But
So
kind of on that.
Aliens give us gifts. That's where we get all our technology from.
perfect
They're Santa
timing.
Claus.
I mean,
perfect timing.
the-
Christmas is next week.
Nikola
Yeah.
Tesla. Y'all ever looked into him?
Nikola Tesla.
Nikola-
Oh, I love Nikola Tesla.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, there's a theory that he was an alien, that he was here, and
I've heard ones that
A
he
lot
was
of-
like given information from aliens, not about him.
That's
Well, I mean,
crazy. I've
yeah,
never.
but
heard that. That's cool.
Edison's inventions were actually Tesla's inventions that he
Yeah,
ripped
yeah,
off
yeah.
and
and he was
stole.
much
Exactly.
smarter than Edison.
Yeah.
Edison
Yeah.
was an
Yeah.
entrepreneur.
Well, and he like there's and I don't know if it's legitimate things that he like we have documentation of, or if it's like all theoretical stuff. But he had like what is it, free energy, where it would take particles out of the air and create energy from those particles that are already energized.
Right.
And I don't know. I don't know if that's like a theoretical thing or if we have documentation that he like actually
Well-
created this thing back when he was alive.
Yeah.
But that's a legitimate thing. Like you can go look up Nikola Tesla and his free energy stuff. It's wild.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
there's
he's behind a lot of concepts that have been turned into
Yeah.
real inventions.
Exactly.
I think it's over like 48
Yeah.
official patent.
One really
inventions
cool
or
thing that he was looking into for a very long time is the presence of energy within the Earth itself.
okay.
Not from like solar power or anything like that, but the actual ions and blah, 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 all that bullshit in the Earth itself. So you could he actually was successful in a lot of certain ways of like putting like metal rods in the ground and just producing energy
Huh.
from that. But a lot of what he wanted to do was be able to provide free energy for everyone.
Yeah.
And energy corporations at the
Yeah.
time, obviously,
Yeah.
if
Yep.
free
They're gonna-
energy for everyone, that's
Yep.
not good for money.
Yeah. So yeah.
So-
It's
Well,
mar-
that's
it's
a
drowned
lot
out.
market
of
at
the
time.
shit that we have in our world now.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Yeah.
the fact that that's not conducive for my capitalistic
Exactly.
idea.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Well, and so that's what's scary. It's like, I mean, and it's not even with Edison or Nikola Tesla. It's like there's probably so many other, where people market it off of other
Yep.
inventions and things.
Oh yeah, that happens all the time.
Oh yeah. I mean, I know that Leonardo da Vinci himself, he had plenty of things. like a flying machine at one point, and people buried that for a while.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I didn't know about that until I played Assassin's Creed 2.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And it
Yeah.
really, and I mean, you know,
I learned it from Futurama.
Futurama.
There you go.
Yeah.
See? Yeah. It's like, you know, there's so many things that so many people invent that are just buried for a while,
Yeah.
and then you're like, oh, cool. Well, we have plans now.
Well,
I mean, you know,
that's-
it's
right.
like
That's
who
why you
made-
have this growing conspiracy mindset that everything that we've been taught is a lie
yeah.
or
Well, it's conditioning.
suppressed.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a strong
at
conditioning.
least a good portion of what we're taught is censored
yeah.
Yeah.
because
Well, we realize that there's a lot of motives that aren't necessarily good behind what information we're fed and
Yeah.
what we're
Yeah.
taught to be truth.
Exactly. Like,
And
it's,
they usually, you know, they like to say to conspiracy theorists, like, oh, you're denying science or such. But it's not I don't think people that gravitate towards these ideas have anything against actual science. It's just that there's a bit of a mistrust of the official scientific
Yeah.
community because
Yeah.
who are these people being paid off by? You
Yeah.
know, why are they only publishing these results and not
Yep.
these?
yeah.
And
And especially in 2020, I mean, you're seeing this left and right.
yeah.
Literally on the left and the right.
Well,
And
yeah,
great,
you
the
know,
greatest
politically-
scientists have always been outliers at first. They've
Yeah.
always been against the community, at least at some
well, and that's
time
why
in their life.
like you have different like so what got me into conspiracy theory was diet because I started out I lost a bunch of weight doing
Oh,
the keto diet.
Of all things, diet. No, sorry. No,
No,
it's,
I mean
it's,
it was
it's cool. It's like, yeah, go ahead.
Well, it's because
Sorry.
like I grew up my whole life believing that fat was bad. Like if you eat fat, you'll be fat.
Yeah.
And that's just not true. And,
Not
and
at all.
going off of some of the outliers and now it's become more of a mainstream thing. I mean, mainstream thing. Eating fat for weight loss and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But at the time that I started doing it and doing research myself, it was a very like niche thing that not a lot of people, there wasn't a whole lot of research on. And I'm a huge advocate for it now because I've done it. But the whole mindset of fat being bad and carbs being good, and not saying that one is worse than the other, but saying that one is worse than the other is what the issue is. Because you need fat. Because fat is what regulates your hormones. It's a necessary macronutrient.
But sorry, go ahead.
So many times is things like that are miscommunicated and done in a lying way. This is a terrible way of explaining, but because of products and things that people have to sell. I mean, another example of that sort of concept is diamonds and engagement rings.
Yeah.
Back in
There you
like
go.
I forget like 1930s,
Yep.
something like that. No one cared about diamond rings, wedding rings, anything like that. No one cared about diamonds. They
Yep.
weren't really worth anything for the most part. But basically, they started a marketing campaign, a commercial campaign, essentially, that was like, if your ring that you get your wife isn't worth 2 paychecks, then you're then you're
You
not
don't
good
love
enough.
her.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So it made it out to be this whole thing
Yeah.
that, you know, if you don't do this, you're not good enough. This is the standard. So it's setting a standard. It's setting this whole thing for something that doesn't matter. A little shiny fucking crystal that
Yeah.
does what?
Yeah, exactly.
Looks nice.
Yeah.
Half
well,
the time.
well, yeah,
Sometimes.
but also, you know, thinking about all these different eras and stuff. You know, the whole thing about the nuclear family, it's not the same as it used to be. And so, you know, I mean, talking about, you know, romanticism, you know, realism, like, you know, all these important time periods of like change, especially in social norms. I mean, it's changed throughout many, many years. So, you know, the whole thing with, you know, the diamond ring and stuff, you know, it still can be true to this day, and people still follow that example. But then there's the other people who are like, you know, well, I mean, I'm gay, I'm lesbian, and, you know, I could care less about a fucking ring. I'm going to get a ring pop and, you know, propose to, you know, it's not, you know, so it's like all these norms have changed throughout the years.
Yeah,
and
they
now,
are. It's a good thing.
Most
It's a great
cultural
thing.
norms
But I think
are
a lot of
disintegrating.
that-
Exactly. It's
I think a
cultural.
lot of that comes from being raised in the norm.
Well,
right?
true.
Like you're raised up in a certain way and you want to go
Yeah.
against the grain
Yeah.
because
Yeah. and
of
thinking
something.
and subjectively thinking about how I perceive the world.
Well, it's
But
also
and
I think a lot of it's coming from with the fact that we have all of this information
Yeah.
as a part of our lives nowadays,
Yeah.
so we can see what actually has value, what isn't. We can see
Yeah.
a lot of the lies that have been placed in our day-to-day lives and how we grew up,
Well, and
and
that's
we're trying to get away from that.
and I think that's a huge catalyst as to why you have a growing movement of people who just don't agree with what has been agreed upon for a long time.
Yeah, because we're sick of traditions. And
Yeah.
the same thing, but like the concept of doing this because you have always done it.
Yeah.
right.
That is
It's
the stupidest
it's the
thing.
dumbest thing.
Well, it is until until you don't place the importance upon it. Like lately, Darren and I, we've been making, or my wife and I, who those who don't know, so we've been making kind of
cannot see.
yeah,
There it
exactly.
For those at home who cannot see, we are referring to Caleb's wife, Darian.
Yes. So we have our own traditions that we recently kind of made.
Yeah.
We this year have decided, okay, every year we want to have a goose for Christmas, because that's just what Bob Cratchit did in A Christmas Carol. But it's like, that's something that we want to do, and it's important to us. We didn't get a goose this year because we're poor, and it's like $69 for a full goose, because that's apparently it's really good,
69.
better than turkey. Anyhow, for certain traditions, it's so important to have those, but remember where the importance lies, and not like, oh, it's because we've always done it.
Yeah,
whatever. I've broken so many traditions from my families, because like, okay, so we've never had a Christmas dinner ever. It's been a lunch.
Mhm.
And it's like, that's cool and all, but I never felt the importance of it, because it's like I want to have a dinner for my family now that I have 3 girls who live with me now. I have my 2 daughters and my wife and my dog, so 4.
You
But
have 4 dogs?
No, I sure. So 4 people who live in my house. I include the 4th person as being my dog. She's
okay.
she's not a
4 dogs together make one human.
exactly. But no, anyhow, going along with that, that's pretty much what I'm talking about. Is like, having the importance, breaking away from traditions. And
Well, I
having
think there's a fine line of a tradition like that, where this is what you do with your family every year around Christmas time, versus the tradition of a ring, a diamond ring, like that is more like, if you don't do this, you are a bad human being.
Well,
there's a very strong difference between those
true.
types of traditions.
Well, true, but then again, it's like everybody has a Thanksgiving dinner with turkey, right?
Yeah.
Some people don't, and that's like, oh, if I heard somebody who doesn't eat turkey on Thanksgiving, sorry, my social norms are going to tell me like, oh, well, that's just kind of weird. I mean, really, it is, because like, I just expect that. With the ring thing, it's kind of similar, because you're like, for me, I'm not going to care, because I didn't go about that.
Well,
way.
and there's also a difference of the 4 people in this room who all kind of have a similar way of thinking than Joe Blow down the street, who's a 37-year-old man who...
Joe Blow.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe Blow!
I mean, like, we've all kind of grown up in the same circles, more or less, and we have a lot of the same friends and a lot of the similar influences that have brought us to the point we're at.
Mm-hmm.
We're all white males in our 20s.
That's a fact. I mean, that's just...
Greenbrier County, West Virginia.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we live in Greenbrier.
Yeah, we
Well,
no! We've all spent some time here.
Exactly, there you go.
We've all lived in Lewisburg.
Yeah.
At some point or another.
Well,
At one point or another.
We're nothing alike. no
I'm actually not here.
Yeah.
But like that's why I think conspiracy theories have gained a lot of traction, because you have a lot of our age group people and then those below us that reject social norms, which is why we have a growing LGBTQ community, and that just scares the hell out of boomers.
Yeah.
A lot of boomers.
You have a lot of the religious, a lot of people that have grown up being taught religion that reject it or have a modified version of it.
Mm-hmm.
You have people that have been taught one way in school that have found out that it's not the way they were taught.
Yeah.
Because like the Federal Reserve, that was something that just blew my mind. that the Federal Reserve is not a government entity. It is not something controlled by our government.
I was looking into that.
It's a
recently,
privately
yeah.
owned banking system, not owned by our government.
Isn't it like the Rothschilds or
Yep.
something?
Which,
not
I mean,
know that.
that's a whole
Yeah.
rabbit hole in itself.
That's interesting.
But that's something that I was never taught.
Yeah, virtually America's money is not even American
No,
money.
and that's, I mean, we pay a percentage of interest on the money we borrow from the Fed. So we are forever indebted to the Federal Reserve
yeah.
because of the money we print that we all agree has value, that actually has no intrinsic value, that ultimately, by the time that we're 30, is going to have less value than it does
Yeah.
now.
I think the interesting thing there, okay, we have all been in a world with money and like placing value upon something
Yeah.
in exchange for services or goods.
Yep.
What is a system that works without placing value on something like that for services or goods? How can you actually come up with a reality where everyone can function and do, and you know, what's a system
really
that can
don't
work
know.
without that? Yeah.
I really don't know.
Yeah, it's very hard
you
to
have
think of
that
something
like
like
Rick
that.
and Morty episode where they go and they help break up the purge, and then those people that broke up the purge ultimately fall back into the purge.
Yeah.
Because they're like, there's no way of getting out of
Yeah.
that ingrained social construct of what life has
Because it's been that
Well-
way for millennia, and that's kind of how we are with money at this point. I
Right.
think.
Well, I kind of want to piggyback off that because currently I'm reading a lot of like fiction, just a lot.
Yeah.
I'm reading A Brave New World currently. Still, I don't want to finish it because it's so good. Yeah, you know how you're like, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you just like you don't want it to end. So I'm reading that. I'm reading the lore behind the
one word a
Cyberpunk
night.
game. So the new Cyberpunk game that just recently came out, it's actually based on a tabletop like RPG game, and so I'm reading about the lore behind that, and there's so much that's like, first of all, there's no U.S. of A. There's one president, and then there's like, California is broken off from the whole United States, and they're their own entity, and they have their own civilized city and everything, and the currency is different, and it's like there's so many other books that I'm reading too. I mean, there's like a lot of stuff that I'm going on with right now, that where there's no currency or the currency has been altered
Yeah.
or whatever, and it's really cool to think about because it's like, well, I think that it could potentially happen, and really, I mean, there's so many like science fiction books and novels and movies and shows that where it's like we can
that's-
actually come to
There's another book that comes
There's
to
a
mind.
cosmic theory that I don't know where it comes from, but I've seen it on TikTok a handful of times that states that a civilization cannot be enslaved without knowing it's enslaved.
right.
So we as an enslaved civilization that is enslaved to this currency that we all agree has value, that we end up working for and then never truly get
Yeah.
all of what we work for.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we pay taxes. and-
That's yeah. That's,
but the cosmic theory is that they have to tell us what they're doing, whatever they are, whether it's the 1% that controls the world, or it's an alien race,
yeah.
whatever you want to call it,
exactly.
reptilians, whatever.
Well-
We'll go there. But TV shows like Rick and Morty having the Galactic Federation in it, making a joke of it, the theory would be that they're throwing it in our face, telling us that it's a real thing,
Yeah.
but
Well, it
making
is.
a joke about it
Yeah. Well, but see,
to make us think, oh, well, there's no way that could be a thing. But they're telling us it's real,
of course.
but we think
But
it's a
see-
joke because of the way it's portrayed.
Yeah, but also science fiction has been doing that for
Yeah.
years. I mean, books from
Yeah.
the 40s, whatever, like the early science fiction stuff. It's like, oh, cool. And then Star Trek comes along, and guess what? In Star Trek, there's no currency, there's no money system.
Yeah.
It's all based on goods or deeds or something like that. I think it's like
Huh.
or something. Yeah. It's a whole thing to where there's a peaceful Earth. There's no crime hardly because everybody wants to have good things, so they do good deeds. And there's like, I don't know, there's a whole lore behind that. There's like books on books about Star Trek on Earth, and it's like we are conditioned to believe that everything has value when in all reality the value is however what or it's what you make of it.
Mhm.
It's not like, oh, it's, this
Well,
PlayStation 5 is worth $600. Well, to me, I would probably pay more than that because I love PlayStation, and then, you guys could probably care less because it's it's whatever.
I got
So it's like
$50 here.
$50. How about the PlayStation 6 off you? Or 5, whatever.
Yeah, well,
But-
it's the hamburger in the desert and diamond thing.
Yeah.
Hamburger and diamond in the desert, where it's like which is worth more when you're starving.
Right, when you're
you know?
exactly. That's true. And it's so strange to think of a world where we don't have currency or we don't have
But it-
certain
it would
it's where you
make
place the value.
sense. Like, it would
would.
make sense to just get what you need.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. But here's the thing.
but
I mean,
there's
how
no
old is
way
money?
to get past the socially constructed, ingrained
Yeah.
idea that we all have to do something to earn that something.
Yeah. Yeah.
like
that's true.
like I work for Subaru, and they do a lot of really cool things. One of those things is they donate money to different charities.
Right.
One of the charities that they donate to is Meals on Wheels.
That's cool.
And what that is it's a nonprofit that goes out and gives meals to elderly people that need food.
Right.
And the fact that that has to be a thing is insane to me.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that elderly people would have to have a nonprofit be started so that they could eat and survive is insane to me.
Oh, I know. Yeah. It's like how do people get to one point and then fall to the bottom?
Well, no, not
That's-
even just that. Not like
Oh no, I
I'm-
know.
I'm
I know you're
talking about the fact
like,
that
no, I
our
understand.
system is designed in a way that a nonprofit has to be started to help
to help right.
the lowest of the low.
Yeah.
Because our system is designed to keep the lowest of the low at the bottom.
Right. It's kind of
Right? Like that makes no sense.
Yeah.
And,
I'm not sure if you guys watch Black Mirror, but almost every episode is like, bro, in 50 years, in 100 years, we could be right here, right
Yeah.
now. One really good episode is called Nosedive. I forgot her name. Who's in it? She's a popular actress. But anyhow, everything is based on likes, views.
That's a good episode.
Yeah,
I've seen
yeah.
that.
So it's a star rating system. It's like if you don't. It's like if you're a truck driver, you're probably like a star level 2. If you're rich and you have
Right.
like a really nice pool and you're hot and all this stuff, you're a 5. And it's like all these rankings.
That was
It's like it's like
something
you order a coffee from someone, then you give the person a rating.
Yeah.
Like-
yeah.
that was something that Duncan Trussell and Joe Rogan talked about when the pandemic first started. Joe had Duncan Trussell, who's the creator of Midnight Gospel, that's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I want to see that.
And
Trippy.
it, like, they were talking about it in a way that was like, I don't know if it was a chip or something that they're going to implant in you or something. They were kind of like off on a tangent. They were smoking quite a bit.
Right.
But they were talking about it in the exact same way that you are of that episode. But it was like, oh, you didn't get vaccinated? Oh, well, your value is this.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's where they went with that same idea. And it's wild that we could be there truthfully in like a few short years.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
A
it wouldn't
century or
take
two?
it wouldn't
century or
take
two?
20 years.
Yeah.
It might take 10.
Well,
I mean, with the vaccine stuff, it might be in a few months that people are excluded from social activities for not having the vaccine.
yeah.
I mean, that's we're probably a few short months away from that.
I don't know.
truly.
That's a whole topic.
That
right
is-
there.
that is a
But
whole
what are you,
nother-
What are you doing?
I think we're going to take a quick break here for a second,
Okay.
and come back with a little bit of a
little something for you.
little something. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Do you want to go ahead and tell them what code they can use for a quick discount on sparrowcloth.com?
Well, I'll tell you real quick. I believe they can use discount code MMP. That stands for Moment Makers Podcast.
And that's going to be a 10% off discount code just for you, for
Any-
you, the listener.
Any shirt, hoodie, beanie, anything like that, you can get it 10% off. You can just go to sparrowcloth.com. That is SPEROCLOTH.com.
It's a .com.
Give it a type in and click and get in there.
It's
put
actually
in
going
your
to be in
credit
the
card
show notes
information.
below, so you don't even have
Yeah.
to do all that. You just got to
Oh.
click on the link.
That sounds even better.
It'll get you right to the beanies, and you
Yeah.
can use the discount code. We're making it
It's so
easy
quick.
for you.
Yeah, man. How can you not? You're losing money. If
You're
you don't do
losing
this.
money if you don't just
Just click it.
scroll up
Yeah.
and click on the first link.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
All right. Well,
I do want to mention real quick what
Yeah.
we got coming up.
oh yeah.
Because
keep it
next
going.
week starts the first
Mhm.
round of
Yeah, it does.
drops, and kind of moving forward what we're going to be doing. And this is just a real quick thing for those that actually listen to the podcast. The first Friday of every month is going to be a new drop for Sparrow. So we're going to have a new collection that has a theme, that has some special limited designs for that theme. That is going to be, again, the first Friday of every month, and we're going to announce it that Wednesday before. So you'll see a lot of promo from the website, from the Moment Makers community, from those of us on the podcast, and it's just going to be a good time.
Yeah, I think so. We've got a lot of cool new products coming people's way, but they're only available for a limited time. So I think, if you want one, if you like one of the designs, jump on it quick, or it's going to be gone forever.
Those will be in the show notes below when
Yeah.
we have our episode that comes with this.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go far. You just got to scroll up, click on the link, and you're there.
Yeah, you are. All right. I think that about wraps it up for that little tiny bit there.
Yeah, you want to get back into what we were talking about?
I would like to talk a little bit about the Thomas More book Utopia, written in 1516. Cool. It is a great. It's a fictional book about basically an isolated, well, not entirely isolated, but this country that's an island that is sort of in a communist or socialist sort of world. It's called Utopia, and basically it just goes on like they don't have money, anything like that. Very few of them go to the mainland and actually get sources like resources and stuff like that and trade, so there's not really much rotation of money. But when you read the book, it all seems like fine and dandy and cool for the most part. Like, oh, you think it would almost kind of work. But the tricky thing with anything fictional like that is everything can look perfect on paper, but the thing is, fiction is fiction, so you can't. It comes from one person's mind.
Yeah.
It does not showcase real human nature. These are not real accounts of human events. So you can't. It's so hard to take away
Blueprint,
much.
but it's not the real thing.
Yeah. So I think that's a very interesting sort of way to look at any sort of piece of fictional book or piece of work out there.
Specifically, like things like that, like
Political
dystopian,
or
political
religious, anything
novels,
like that.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, but about that though, so and there's characters in this book, right? Like,
I mean, yeah, I think there's basically
It's more of a concept book.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, the main premise of the book is there's this visitor who goes to the island, and this is what he sees,
Gotcha.
and this is
Oh, that's
so
cool.
it's through his eyes.
Okay.
It is-
See, that's what's interesting though. Even though it is fiction, the character in the book who's like looking upon all this, that he's thinking objectively because that's what he's seeing.
yeah,
Is what's before him. He's not letting it affect him, right? Which will be subjectively speaking, I guess.
what do you mean?
As in, okay, so
So he has no biases. He is simply
Exactly.
reporting what is being
Exactly.
done.
Yeah,
yeah. And
He's not saying it's good or bad. He is simply stating what is happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is extremely interesting. And so but again, with all fiction, as you said, it's what we think up. It's not like based on. I mean,
it's one
it is-
person's idea
Exactly.
instead of it being a practiced
That's true.
experiment.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because we all
which-
have our own biases. You have
Yeah.
beliefs and things that I don't believe in.
Exactly.
I have beliefs and things you don't believe in.
Exactly.
So therefore, in practice, a utopian society is a very hard thing to imagine.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, but even you said socialist or socialism and communism. Geez, that all that stuff exists in China. And certain places in the world, I'm sure. Hell,
Soviet Russia.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, obviously, but I can make up my own, community.
But
and
again,
have my own. I could be a
this-
monarchy. I could be a.
This
whatever.
goes back into that distrust of government because we've been told how those places are.
Yeah.
Without I've never been to any of those places,
Right.
so I don't know how they actually operate.
Exactly.
For
And see-
all I know, we're living in what South Korea is been told. We've been told South Korea is what we're living.
Right.
Because the media is
North,
censored.
North Korea.
Let me elaborate on that because you guys are
Yeah,
are
no,
not
I'm very
understanding.
confused.
Yeah, because South
We're-
Korea is okay. North Korea is bad.
Oh, right, North Korea, whatever.
Okay.
Same difference.
There you go.
Well, the
No,
suicide
no,
rate
it's
is
very,
it's
very,
not at all
very big
high.
difference. What I'm saying is that our media, our social media, our news, our everyday life is censored to the point where we're told what we can and can't
Exactly.
see.
Exactly. It's
If,
all conditioning.
If you post something on Facebook that says, "I believe COVID-19 might not be all that they say it is," you get censored or you get
they'll literally
flagged.
put a banner up.
You
saying,
don't even have to
"Warning."
say it's a
Yeah,
hoax.
false
information
information.
You don't even have to say that it's a hoax. You could say, "I think that we're not being told exactly what's happening."
I am somewhat skeptical of
Yeah.
what the government is telling me. False information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Can I bounce off that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So within the past 2 weeks or so, I've really just been like not even done with the media, but just like, okay, where's the fake news? Which is it? Is it the left or the right? Is it
Yes.
both? Is it not? It is no. It's like I can't stand hearing about all these things and then in my mind go, okay, well, this is what I objectively think.
Yeah.
Because I'm not objectively thinking either or, because that's not how it works.
Even if
So-
you're down the middle, there's no objectively
Exactly.
thinking.
It's
Exactly.
impossible
And
to think
it's impossible
objectively
to be
because you're not
objective.
an object.
And as you were saying, hey, maybe China's not that bad. Honestly, in my personal opinion, I don't believe that there's, I don't think they're out to get us to start a war. I don't think really anybody's out to start a war. You know what war is? It's a misunderstanding between two nations or two, people or whatever.
Well, I mean, it
Unless you
can go
murder
beyond
somebody
that.
or assassinate, Ferdinand or
Well,
Franz
that's
Ferdinand,
going
whatever
on a whole
yeah.
nother
Oh, I know.
tangent.
I know.
Yeah.
But like what I'm talking about is though, it's like we can't assume that oh well they're bad and they're good or this is
Well, and
right this
that's-
is wrong.
That's the issue with our country.
Exactly.
Is that we've been taught for so long that if you're not this, then you're this.
Yes.
Instead of being, well, maybe it's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well-
the truth is somewhere between the left and the right.
Yeah, and
Right.
and it's even worse now because especially in our day
Well,
and age, with
we're
the
so
past,
polarized on everything that's
it's
happened
sensitive.
this year, more specifically.
yes, it's sensitive America. That's what everybody
Yeah.
or I'm calling it. I mean, everybody's like, oh gosh, I don't want to offend you here. I don't want to offend you there. It's just
But that's a polarizing side
It
because
is.
there's another side that wants to offend you because they don't agree
Yeah.
with what you
Exactly.
believe.
Yeah.
exactly.
So the truth is somewhere in the middle, right? Like exactly.
Truth is actual conversation,
Yeah.
trying to get to the bottom of something,
not
figuring out what
forcing
you
your
believe.
beliefs on other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
just trying
because-
to learn.
Yeah, because people believe that like, oh, well, my political opinion, which literally I say that, is fact. Or it's like they state these things and the other. Well, this is how my America runs. Well, this is how my America runs. Well, we both live in America, don't we? I mean,
The truth
it's-
is that the America that we all live in is ran by both parties at the same time.
it is. Yeah, and
That's the thing that doesn't make sense to me about people being on left or right.
I know.
Well, it's also it's being run by both. Like there is that going on, but there's also the left will do anything to demonize the right, and the right will do anything to demonize the left.
The point
that-
fingers, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
all they
it's
do.
like we're
and
in
that's
a
what
war.
we pay
Nothing
them
ever
to
gets
do.
done.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And
That's
we're
why
in a
we're
war
sitting
with
here
ourselves.
The 12th month, technically the 10th month into a pandemic,
Yeah.
with one stimulus check,
Yeah.
when other countries have gotten monthly payments
Yeah.
throughout the pandemic.
Yeah, well, and and here's one thing about America. It's always been this, and I mean, I've heard family members, bash on me for it. It's all about work. Make sure you find work. Work. Literally, it's so drilled into my brain that I feel shitty not working, but also I want a job anyways. Everybody wants to work,
But work
it's
isn't-
also right.
Work
sorry,
is
go ahead.
subjective.
It is.
Right? Like what we're doing is work
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, that's
This
true.
is
I mean,
this is a
value.
level of work.
This is
But this is something that I want to make my career. Like I would love to do this full time.
yeah.
But it's not work because I'm not getting paid to do it.
Right.
Imagine record 40 hours a week, podcasts. Just like
I don't think the people are ready for that.
8 hours a day,
start
Monday through
now.
Friday podcast.
And now I'm
But
eating my lunch.
the thing is, it may sound like an absurd idea, but the more content you push out, the better.
It
Yeah,
100%
yeah.
is.
That's
That's
why
why,
we're
trying
we're
to-
consistent with
People
it.
will listen.
Yeah.
And we're trying to grow. We have another thing that we're doing, kind of bridging the gap between the podcast and the clothing, where we're wanting to make a community of people, and that's some of the stuff that we'll maybe announce as it comes available.
Yeah, we've got a lot of things.
a lot of stuff that we want to do.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, we have, I mean, Jacob, Caleb, all these different people, even Coley. We all have these different ideas of what we like to do. We like to create music. We like to talk and have conversations. Some of us like to be funny and do stupid shit. And all of these things are worthy of being out there.
Yeah.
And so why not try and put them under one umbrella to help? Well,
Build all
it's
the
it's
others.
like I wouldn't even actually call it one umbrella, because it's like taking all of these things, pushing it out, and hoping one gets traction so it funnels to the other ones. But it all is part of one
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
But the
it's-
one thing is so many different things.
Yeah.
It's a unity.
Yeah.
It's
A
yeah.
community.
Community.
Yeah.
Moment makers community. Come on down.
And we'll have more information on that as it becomes more of a thing
Yeah.
to announce. I mean,
we
we're
just have to
kind
get
of in
more
the beginning
content.
ideas
Yeah,
of it.
Yeah.
But we do have on the Moat Makers community page, we have a lot of comedy type stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ben has kind of taken the reins with that, and it is some choice.
It's kissable.
It is choice.
It's like butter.
It's quad.
Butter.
100%.
Quality. Straight up quad.
I did want to touch back on the alien stuff a little bit.
Yeah, let's get there.
Just before we close, I don't know how much longer we're going for, but
Ooh, yeah,
Um,
I do too. I just thought of something. Yeah, go ahead.
go ahead. If you have something
Oh,
that you wanted to,
Well, just talking about aliens. No, you know what? Let me finish. You go right ahead.
What?
No, Brennan.
Let me
you
finish.
go
let me
ahead.
finish.
Go ahead.
Finish. Go right.
Finish this
ahead.
conversation. Go.
What
you start
the
it.
fuck is going on with your hair?
I don't know. It's greased
For
up.
those at home that can't see, Caleb's hair is standing
looks like Jimmy
straight up.
Neutron.
It really does.
Neutron.
James Isaac Neutron has made an appearance into.
James Isaac.
That's his name.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's his name in the show.
Yep.
Aliens.
Aliens.
Speaking of Jimmy Neutron, there are
Speaking
aliens
of
in Jimmy
James,
Neutron.
Jimothy.
Jimbo. Go.
Speaking of aliens, though, I kind of going back to what we started talking about with the extraterrestrials and what might be out there. There might be something out there.
I mean, statistically
I mean,
speaking, it's not that logical to think there isn't, because
Okay.
the universe is ever expanding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've
It would be illogical to believe the opposite.
What do you mean the
It-
opposite?
To
as
not
in that there's
believe
nothing
there's something
there.
out there.
They're like,
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
yeah.
I said it a different way.
Yeah, he did.
Barely.
Yeah, barely. Okay, so I'm not gonna talk about my whole life story, my upbringing, or whatever, or what I've changed in my life, but I will.
We're gonna talk about aliens, Caleb.
Exactly. So, I used to.
Long story short, I'm going to go into a long story.
Long story short, when I was a kid, man, I
Back
had
in
it
the
The
rough.
first time I saw aliens.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so, in my mind, when I was much younger, I would perceive of our universe as, I mean, obviously, I think every kid has done this, but we have a galaxy and we live in that galaxy and that's it. Or as in, like, we can't really comprehend how
Homie, as
vast
a
it is.
child, I couldn't even comprehend another planet.
Right?
Like,
Exactly.
I thought Earth was it.
Yeah,
My
'Cause
biggest, I couldn't comprehend the consciousness of another human being.
I'm still kind of
Same.
there.
okay. So what I'm trying to say is, over the years, obviously, I've grown and stuff, but I still kind of believe that to a certain limitation.
You're bigger than you
I'm
were.
bigger
as a
than I
child.
used to be, and now I'm a big boy now. I don't use diapers anymore.
Anyway,
Anyway,
I love this podcast.
It is pretty great. So what I'm trying to say is that I used to just believe that, like, the universe wasn't as big as it truly really is, and so a few I guess friends and professors and mentors over the year have really showed me that, oh, okay, so here's our solar system, our star system specifically. And then
Our
surrounding
galaxy.
us, no, it's not even that. It's just surrounding that. There's other star systems.
Yeah.
There's over, I don't know, it's like a couple billion, or no, quintillion star systems or something in our own galaxy.
Yeah.
So we haven't even explored over not even 2% of that. And then apart from that, there's the Andromeda Galaxy. And then apart from that, there's what? I think it's like another some billion that we've actually visualized
There's
through
so
telescope.
many more.
Exactly. So you cannot possibly, in your right mind, say
That just
there's
stressed
nothing.
me out.
Really, exactly.
Holy shit.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I've looked up so many things about, astrology and astronomy and all that good stuff. But especially hey, anybody who's listening, watch the show Cosmos. It was on Fox.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Neil deGrasse?
Yes, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Oh my gosh, he's amazing. But he really, really puts it in your brain, and it makes you.
Yeah.
It's not even stressed out. You're just like,
This is
like,
beautiful.
it's beautiful, and
amazing,
it's terrifying.
all
because
agree.
It's
inspiring.
it is.
I agree when it comes to that show, but has anyone seen Neil deGrasse Tyson on Joe Rogan?
No.
Like,
What?
what a
think I
fucking
did.
asshole he is.
Oh, is he really?
So unpopular
Hey, listen,
opinion.
he's a tough cookie.
Unpopular
Man, it's like-
opinion. Neil deGrasse Tyson is the Bill Nye of
Yeah,
theoretical physics.
Yeah.
As in,
Well, it's
As in
wait,
Bill Nye is
I don't think he's.
What is Bill Nye?
Bill
a
Nye's
poster child.
Or
Yeah, but what was
but
he?
neither of
science-
them are that impressive. They're just kind of the
They're-
media
yeah.
faces.
Yeah.
yeah.
But one's an astrologist and one's a.
Yeah, they're-
astronomer.
I
well,
said
I
He'd
don't-
be
I
offended
s-
that you called
he's a
him
theoretical
an astrologist.
physicist. Is what Neil deGrasse Tyson is.
Right.
That's his
Yeah,
like
yeah.
official title as a theoretical physicist.
No, he's actually an astrophysicist,
Well.
planetary scientist, author,
Neil.
science fiction communicator.
If
Yeah.
you want to get into the good
Yeah.
theoretical physicist, the guy I can't remember his name. Paulo Rovelli, I think it is.
Oh,
this
yeah.
Italian guy that wrote all these books. You'd recognize the covers of the books. They're
Yes.
very popular.
I
Right?
know exactly.
7 Brief Lessons on Physics
Mhm.
and Reality is Not What It Seems.
Mhm.
That's some interesting stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. But no, I've done so much studying about like just astronomy and stuff, and to this day I found out more and more stuff, and it still blows my mind. There's actually a video game called No Man's Sky, and you actually get to explore a whole galaxy, literally a whole galaxy. I've been playing it for 50 hours. I've been to like a few star systems. And it takes so long to get to the center of the galaxy if that's your goal. I mean, you can just go wherever you want, but you go to all kinds of star systems, and every time I go to one, I'm like, it's really this big? like a galaxy can be this big?
Here's
And there's multiple.
a little thought to rein us back to the original source material that we were talking about.
So
here.
sorry.
No.
Well, I do have one more thing kind of on the track of that before we get back there.
There might
and
be
then
on even
I guess
track. We go.
close. Because we don't have much more time, but I do have a couple. So you were talking about astrology and astronomy and cosmos and
Yes.
some interesting tidbit of information for you all out there. As you guys are listening to this, it is actually the age of Aquarius. Monday, the 21st, starts the age of Aquarius. So we were in the age of Pisces.
We were in the age of Pisces. That's what it was.
We're moving into
Right.
the age of Aquarius.
So it goes backwards because, like, Pisces is after Aquarius in the like normal.
Actual thing.
Yeah, like in the normal months.
Yeah,
from
it's true.
from what I've
Cycle.
I don't-
seen, we're moving into the age of Aquarius.
I think I've
I
heard
thought we
something
were
that
in
it moves
Aquarius and we're going into
backwards when
something
it
else.
comes-
See, I've been seeing that we've been in the age of Pisces. So maybe I've got my research all mixed up.
Wasn't there a song called
Age of Aquarius. Yeah, I've been vibing to that song.
It's a good song. Yeah, I mean, it all has meaning behind all those. Is that wait?
It's astrology.
Astrology is that? Yes. So, yeah, I mean, that's
Well, the song
Makes
itself
sense.
talks about
it does.
like Jupiter and Saturn. Venus?
Yeah.
think
Jupiter
so.
and Saturn are
That's
moving.
what
Yeah.
They're moving in alignment.
Yeah. Oh
On
yeah, that's
tomorrow.
That's why the ages are changing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're basically they're not aligning, but they're within like a very
Closest
basically I
they've
want to say it's
been.
like 10 times more than the distance between like us and the moon. They're getting that close.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
gonna be insane.
Visually, they will form as one from
Yeah.
like how we look at it.
That's pretty
but they're super super close. It's very
Yeah. Anyhow, going off of well, Ben, you wanted to.
Well, I think he's pulling something up.
Uh-oh.
He's being the token Jamie today.
oh man, I'm trying to find out what actually
What does the
Aquarian
sun mean?
age, JD,
Why are we here?
I can't.
Who
figure
are
it out.
we?
Anyway, I was gonna say a little bit back to the just how big the galaxy is, that type of thing. Recently, there was some, I believe it was radio frequencies from our closest star system resonating at like, I want to say it was like 893 megahertz, something around there.
Yeah.
Specifically that. And it was so specific, and basically it's saying this has to be this is not a natural produced frequency that is being broadcast.
That was
throughout the
recent.
universe. Yeah, I
Like
sent that to you.
Friday, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just found, and it's coming from Proxima Centauri, which is 4.1 light years away. It might be Proxima, not Proxima. So I
Right,
don't know.
because it's
But it's coming from a planet over there, which they have previously said there's 2 planets that are possible to have like inhabitants. And this just happened. And this is the closest star system we have is 4.1 light years away.
Yeah.
Well, and to kind of piggyback on that and kind of circle back to where we started, just the fact that their mainstream media is talking about Galactic Federation, life on other planets potentially being a thing, like more so than they've ever done, just makes me feel like we're like this close to something.
Yeah.
To some kind of disclosure and having something talk to us.
Yeah.
Maybe. And maybe they've been here for centuries. I mean, we may not know, or we may find out soon enough.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there might be
I've
something here.
I definitely think
on
they've
a-
been here for a while, personally.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
they've
For sure.
there
Well,
have
hey,
been
Ancient aliens, guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Come on.
George Tsoukalos.
well,
Giorgio.
Joe Rogan had Post Malone on the podcast not too long ago, and they
Speaking
were
of
talking about the Canadian military officer who was talking about aliens and talking about it at like a UN type meeting where he referred to them as the Great Whites, right? And not in like a theoretical kind of sense, like a legitimate, hey, this is a real thing that we're talking about, as if we were talking about Sweden's. Like, it was a very weird thing to see, and I can't find the video now. I'll pull it up and maybe send it to you guys later. But it's weird, the way that the guy talks about it, and him being a decorated
Yeah.
military official.
It definitely feels like there are some very higher up people who aren't indulging
Yeah. Oh yeah.
our
No,
questions.
Yeah.
and
of course.
different
I
things
mean,
like that
and
as
see,
much as
I
they
think
should.
I think truthfully, everybody's like, oh, we want answers. We're gonna raid Area 51. They kind of almost did. There was right. There was like a big crowd up there or
I
wherever.
think there was like 2,000 people that showed up.
yeah, or
It was a
something.
good
yeah.
bit.
Yeah, well, people want answers, but it's like,
Don't turn into a
I
festival.
think I kind of, I mean, I never thought I'd say this, but I kind of place my trust in them in a sense because we're not ready.
There's definitely some people who aren't, and that
I
would
think
freak
we're
out.
more so
Yeah,
ready.
Ever going to be
yeah.
ready, though, is the
Yeah, what-
question.
We're never going to be
that's
ready. I mean, nobody's going to, oh, wow, so we're not that important anymore. Is God
But
real? like,
I
all
will
this stuff,
say, maybe, theoretically, maybe that's what all of this misinformation and media censorship, maybe that's what it's all boiling to a head for. Maybe there's some kind of disclosure, and if there's a Galactic Federation, maybe they're orchestrating a whole bunch of this shit to pop off and
True.
push us into disclosure
Yeah.
to be prepared.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Let's-
not out of hypotheticals.
Hypothetically, you know what? They created coronavirus. Completely, made it up, made everyone freak out, made all of these crazy things
Right.
happen.
Well, and
I'm
that's-
trying to be satirical. Give me a second
Okay.
so I can make myself not look like a dick.
Okay, I'm actually going to go on that and be a little bit
Yeah,
serious
go.
with it
Yeah.
though. So
Wanna hear?
Well, half serious, half not for myself. But like all of this has just like there's been so much crazy shit that's happened. I mean, fucking Australian wildfires.
Yep.
The
just about
wildfires
every
in
week or
California,
two, there's
everything.
something.
There's
Yeah.
just so much weird shit going on. Everything's like the weird information. There's so much shit going on. They're trying to overload us, and at the end of it, like, okay, well, here you go. Okay, now it's out. Okay, you're less focused on this bombshell because of so much other stuff going on.
Well, and they've kind of proved that. Because during the middle of the pandemic, they released the information about off-world vehicles being a thing that were not made on Earth, and nobody cared.
Yeah, it was just
nobody
like, oh,
talked about it, and we were all just like, "Oh yeah, cool."
Yeah, well, because
like,
we were all like, "Yeah, well, thanks for admitting it."
So,
now.
so it's not like if you can believe one thing, you can believe another thing hypothetically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and hypothetically, if vibrations and energy is a real thing. And it is, scientifically, everything is made up of vibrations.
Yeah.
And energy.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's essentially the same thing.
Well, yeah, but same, but different.
Yeah, sure.
Then it's not too far off to believe that maybe there's a galactic federation and they're projecting some kind of frequency that we are susceptible to. In a certain state of being, that we allow certain things to be. Yeah, I'm kind of being a little facetious with what I'm saying because I don't want to say something that's going to offend anybody.
Right. I mean, you just never know, and it's just good
it's
to
all
keep an open mind about all these things.
It is, and there's plenty of theories to go on about. I mean, okay, so also if we were ever to be invaded by aliens, watch the movie Arrival. That's probably what's going to happen.
That's a very good movie.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite takes on aliens.
Oh yeah. Because I mean, honestly, it shows exactly what the government would do if we were in trouble like that. Mm-hmm. Arrival is just like, I think it's in my top 10 favorite movies of all time because it really just shows like, oh, are we gonna like learn their language and do we have the people to understand that? Are we gonna retaliate? Are we gonna do what we did in the 40s or whatever you said where we shoot the thing and do nothing? Yeah. It's like what are we gonna do? Well, watch Arrival. Do it. It's a great film.
I think that's a great place to
stop. Last thing.
I mean, just go watch Arrival.
Do that. Also, watch Interstellar. Another theory.
Great movie. Yeah.
Another theory. We are the aliens.
Yeah.
We put the coronavirus there. We put the black hole there.
Sure.
It's like it's a theory.
I mean, there's the theory that we are our own gods.
Exactly.
I mean,
there's
theories,
a lot of theories.
Theories are endless.
There are, and aliens are real.
It's all just conversation until we have some kind of evidence.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we may not have evidence until we die.
But the conversation is fun. That's what a lot of
and
people don't
that's
understand.
why
People
having
immediately
stuff
want
like
to
this
shut
is
down
good.
things, and they're like, "Well, no, that's I'll show me the proof." And it's like, well.
Yeah,
let's
think
just
about
talk
it. Just like
for a while.
it's not gonna. We're not trying to
Stretch our
plague
little
your brain.
Yeah, stretch our little brains and then believe what you want to believe.
On that note, tell us what you think. Go to our Instagram and ask us momentmakers_podcast. Find us on Instagram. Tell us what you think. Do you think that we're alone here? Do you think that Interstellar is a terrible movie? Tell us what you think.
Call us up and we'll talk.
But whatever you do, don't call us late for dinner. That's going to be it from us. Share the episode with somebody.
Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Happy Christmas, Merry Holidays.
And to all good night.